felt
I
at the
totally
time.
agree with you. Yep, I felt the same exact way. And what I'm feeling now is they have put a ton of work into this. These different classes are really unique. The gunner is really fun. There's a ninja class, you'll like that. A bunch of weird new stuff like that. The biomes are really cool. The difficulty feels way more balanced than when I first played this in early access. It just feels really close to being done, and really tight and really compelling. I really enjoyed checking back in on that, and I have to thank, who was it that told me? Um, who told me it was Brad again? Dang it! I thought I had his name handy. Anyway, I don't. Oh, Gamer Checks. That's who it was. So Gamer Checks, if you're listening, thanks again, because it was nice to be reminded. And he said, "Yeah, they've really come a long way. You should check it out." And I did, and it's real good. Anyway, played that a bunch. Uh, Small mention here. I'm saving the big one for last. I played Enlisted. This is a free-to-play World War II shooter, team shooter, that I'd never heard of before. Played it on a total fluke. I was waiting for some friends to come over to watch Dune the day it opened. So this has been last weekend. And I was like, what's this? I'll download it, try it. And I got hooked on Enlisted. That game's weird. It's free to play and has all the shitty menus you can stand in free to play. Like, it's the UI's bad. It feels like one of those, like, you know, somebody's idea of what they think good menus are. It's just bad. The game though is really fun. Like, I played that a lot, and it has this squad system where you play with squads that you've unlocked. And by that I mean they're AI partners to you, but you're playing a multiplayer game where it's a bunch of other humans, but a bunch of players all start as just one of the squad of 4 people. And they follow you and do your commands and stuff. If you want, you can just let them be and they'll just fight and it's fine. But if you die, you can flip over to one of their body, or you can take one of them over, like Agent Smith style. And now you're that other infantryman or another guy. And you keep going, and keep going. And when all the squad is dead, you get another squad, and you have limited numbers of squads, and so does everyone else. So the goal is, the game doesn't go on forever or is strictly time-based. Sometimes you can just run out of reinforcements, because you're all out of squads. It's an odd thing. It's an odd take on the genre. I've never really seen it before, and I ended up really liking it. It's beautiful, really, really pretty game. XNS optimized, also on PlayStation 5. I'm sure it looks great on their PC. But the interface between games is shit and really bad and ugly, and it just put me off every time I saw it. But the actual gameplay in that game was pretty solid. So if you're looking for just, I miss World War II shooters in a weird way, because there was a simplicity to them, and I don't just mean because all the weapons were old or whatever, but maybe that's part of it. But it was just like, you're not going to go nuts with, like, look at these 1,500 attachments and weird Kevlar, and, you know, like, modern stuff gets just too all up in its military complex kind of ideas. World War II shooters were like, there's your sidearm, there's your rifle, it's got 5 bullets in that chamber. When it's done, it's going to take a minute to reload it, so don't be stupid and just, you know, run out in the middle of nowhere unless you've reloaded. Like, there's some there's strategy and tactic to that I miss from, like, old Call of Duty days, Medal of Honor. I used to love those kind of games. And this really scratched that itch. I ended up getting totally hooked on it. Total fluke, had no idea it even existed. By the time I was done, I really enjoyed it. That and Chivalry 2, which weirdly is a lot like it, except it's medieval and it's all axes, bows, and spears and swords. But just running into a throng of people going, "Rah!" Whether it's in World War II or Chivalry 2 time, is just a blast. And I played both those games a ton. I had a really good time.
I kind of miss doing that. I should pick up one of these, because you're right. There's something about those types of games. I really like.
Yeah, I don't know what it is either. It's like I don't know, like the shooter. I was doing good too. Like I actually got good at it, and I was like, you know, winning matches, but I felt like it actually got down that thing that's really hard to do. Where let's just say it's area control or, like, you know, zone control or something. Most games are like, oh, hold the area, wait for the timer, and then just stay there as long as you can, and then if you die, well, they'll take it back over, and then it's just this back and forth. This felt more like a front of soldiers moving the battle back, and actually succeeding on doing that, and then moving to the next checkpoint, but it felt meaningful and big and epic and tons of guys in it, but not so much that it feels like you're lost or way out in the middle of nowhere. It never felt like that. I don't know. I guess credit where it's due. The game itself is great. Their UI designer, I think, might be a chimpanzee with one eye and he's shitting himself all day. It's terrible UI.
Not to call anyone specific.
No,
but
no.
Exactly that person.
Yeah, that guy. And then when you get in, it's great because you don't have to do some external login crap. I hate that in games that are free to play. I like just use whatever the system I'm using, if it's Steam or whatever. This game, you just let you log in with your freaking Game Pass name and you're done. You just play and it's free. I like it. Alora, we can't talk about Alion's horrible UI either. That's so bad. We're not going to talk about that today. Guardians of the Galaxy. This is the one I wanted to talk about. So the Guardians game came out, and I decided to get it on the Series X. My buddy Brian Ibbett got it on his PlayStation 5.
Guardians of the Galaxy. This is what I want to talk about.
This was the one, Bo, I remember you famously during E3 said, oh no, this is the Deus Ex team. They shouldn't work on this. They should work on a new Deus Ex game. You remember that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have good news. I'm glad it's that team.
I've been seeing good headlines overall. So.
Yeah, it's good. It's not going to be the most, it's not. It doesn't.
No, it's not Deus Ex. Let's put expectations aside on that front.
Here's what it is. It's like a weird combination. I mean, this is Square Enix, but it's Eidos up in Canada is where it got developed. So I don't know if there's really a good comparison here, but it's a combination of weirdly. It feels like Uncharted. It's hard to explain. Part of it is like a lot of the banter is very, jokey and lots of like one-liners and junk like that, and there's a lot of that in Uncharted.
Can we talk about that for 1 second?
Yeah.
Because I feel like you need to put my mind at ease on that, or tell me to, avoid.
Yeah.
I tried watching this game get streamed, and I lasted about 5 minutes. It felt like 10 before I had to step away because I could not take how snarky and how much just like they won't shut up dialogue is in this game. Like, it's literally every second it felt like they're like, hey, we need to get across that bridge. Now, Rocket has to say something smart-ass about the bridge. Then Groot has to say, I am Groot. Then Gamora has to say something sarcastic about Groot talking about the bridge. Then Drax has to say something sarcastic about all of them talking about the bridge. And then finally Star-Lord has to make his sarcastic comment about how they're all talking about this bridge. And then they get across the bridge, and then they go, well, that wasn't treacherous at all. And then someone has to say something sarcastic about how they crossed the bridge. And then it has to go around the whole horn once again, because every character has to say their sarcastic quip about now being on the other side. And it felt nonstop, and I see other stuff. But in a video game, it's very protracted. It's very drawn out. You're not going to get a cut to them going, like, make a joke about the bridge. Okay, and now they're inside, and they're, further along, and now we're going to do something else. You have to linger on all those moments. And it felt so drawn out and so much. I couldn't stand it. I couldn't take it. That game might be amazing in every other way, but there just felt like all I had to do was sit through every level of snark from every character while I was watching.
There's a lot of snark. I will say that what you're complaining about is not that it's not unfounded or anything. Like you're right. There's a lot of snark, and especially I think top loaded. That first mission is basically a giant tutorial, and you're learning all your abilities and all your capabilities and what the capabilities of your party is, because you're always Star-Lord. You're never anybody but him. But you can control the other teammates when you need them to do certain things. So to create that bridge you're talking about, I basically just command Groot to make a bridge. If I need a bunch of grenades in a fight to sort of do an AoE attack, I trigger Rocket to do that. He does it. Gamora does an assassination thing. Drax does like a kind of a breaker move that just takes away people's armor and stuff like that. And those get, more of that as the game goes on, but when you're learning all of that, it's Snarkfest USA. I that stuff lifted after a while and quit being as constant, and the relationships began to be more meaningful, In some ways, that thing's like prologue, and it's not the true story yet, or whatever. There is heart there, you know. It comes in little bits and pieces. They build it slowly over time. But that's why it felt to me like Uncharted, because Uncharted has kind of that same, not problem, but that same structure. It's like, snark, 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 oh, I almost fell. Hey, Sully, where are you going? I don't know, you're slow and old. Like a lot of that stuff. It feels like that, and at the same time, you're also traversing in a way that Nathan Drake might traverse, and even though you're on an alien planet or in a weird ship or whatever. Everything's very colorful and weird. Graphically, the game is astounding. It feels like the most next-gen thing we've gotten so far, to me. Like no holding back on effects and stuff looks, and the engine looks really nice. And